If you're gonna end a series, definitely end it like the Ancient Magus' Bride did with episode 24 this week. A lot of people come out of anime upset that there's no new episodes after the final episode, but I'm not like that. I had a smile on my face for a majority of this episode, right after the whole Joseph and kind of Chise pretty emotional and powerful moment. Everything after that was just all uphill, sunshines and rainbows, non-stop. I love endings where it ties up everything, every loose end that could be there is tied up nicely, but it still leaves it open to interpretation on where things could go. If they ever announced an OVA or another season, there's room to do it, but you come out of this series seeing just such a phenomenal relationship and amazing character growth between both Elias and Chise, and I've made now 25 videos for this series, 24 episodic reviews, one for each episode, as well an analysis on the overall relationship between Chise and Elias, and I feel like I've only scratched the surface of this wonderful series. Of course, if you look at a general form, I feel like a lot of people watch this show with unrealistic expectations. I personally loved it. Obviously, I've made so many videos and I've come up here singing its praise, and this is as close as perfect as I wanted the show to be. Seriously, the idea of how they handled Joseph and just everything like that was phenomenal. I don't think many people would have saw it coming. I did see some people, now I didn't check Reddit because I gave up on checking r/anime a long time ago, but I saw some people on Twitter and just some other forum posts saying that they felt that the battle between Joseph as well as Asinine between Chise, it was lackluster, but I feel like this is where it comes into play with the idea of unrealistic expectations. This isn't a shonen anime where you have like Dragon Ball episodes upon episodes of fights. This is a fight that is very different than just throwing punches. It's magical, it's character growth, it's character progression, and the idea of forgiveness and what Chise offered and what she made Elias promise her was to bound both Joseph as well as her together so that she could basically end this in a peaceful way. She gave him a hug and basically gave him the compassion that he pretty much never had in his life. We saw the backstory. This was a guy who lived very alone for most of his life, and the whole idea that Cartaphilus as well as the dragon inside her more or less came to an understanding that essentially seems like she'll live a normal life because of, like any human, she's bound to die one day, but the idea that this curse that's going to take her life is now basically at heads with this undying curse kind of makes a perfect balance of Chise still having the eye of Cartaphilus, still having the dragon arm. All the curses are still there, but they kind of reached a balance and it lets Chise live a normal life, and it's the perfect outcome. And it's just beautiful to see what ultimately happens with Joseph and everything like that, seeing him at the bottom of the well sleeping. It's such a peaceful resolution for him. I mean, this is a guy who went through so much horrible things in his life, and the idea that he gets to just relax and also has someone who actually seems to genuinely care about him, it's a nice moment, and I feel like I'm glad that it didn't just go the route of killing him off or something like that, because that's not who Chise is. That's not what this show was going for, and I absolutely love the resolution between this arc, and I don't find it lackluster that we didn't have some big grand explosion after explosion and punch after punch. I'm just glad they ended it the way they did, and also just the idea that Asinine was more than just this evil being. He definitely had a troll side to him, and I just like what they overall did with the antagonists for this series. But the overall package and how it tied it up, like you get to see Stella with everyone. A lot of people last week, and this is the horrible thing with people watching episodically, they think that episode needs to tie up everything, otherwise it's a plot hole. People were saying, we didn't see Stella, plot hole. No, Stella was fine, she got taken away like I assumed she did. Everything like that could be like, oh, I wish I would have saw a little bit more of this. I wish I saw a little bit more of this character. We got to see everyone. We got to see Stella, the birthday party that Chise never had. Stella throwing it on her own birthday. How sweet is that? The idea that Chise gets a gown from two different people. She gets the veil as well as the dress. And the whole idea that they, basically Elias and Chise are married. Just they didn't have the full reception, but I just love what Chise does, giving wedding rings to both of them, wearing them on their ring finger, but essentially it allows them to know something's going to go wrong. But I think what really makes this shine is the fact that Elias grew alongside Chise. Elias massively messed up, and I do like the comedy when Chise was on the bed there basically saying like, so do you have any explaining to do? Sometimes the comedy can be a hit or a miss in the series, but I think this episode had a very good balance of how it uses comedy and how it basically kind of tied up the very strong tension that Chise and Elias did have. But the idea of this marriage and ultimately what happened, the forgiveness and the moving on. Elias, the guy's romantic when he wants to be. He's like, is this what the word beautiful means? My boy Elias definitely knows how to be romantic, and I'm not giving him enough credit, I don't think. But the idea that Elias grew alongside Chise, the fact that he realizes, like, he messed up. He knew he messed up when Chise abandoned him, something Chise said that she would never do. She would stay by his side until Elias was done with her. And he understands that a relationship is a two-way streak and both need to do their part. And the fact that he promises that he would never do something like that again, he grew. We definitely saw more development in terms of Chise and just all the insight we got in her mentality, but I don't feel like we didn't have enough Elias growth. I feel like Elias definitely grew. He was a monster, more or less. He was someone who just wanted to understand humans, and I feel like he became a human by the end. Obviously, he still has a long way to go, but you leave the series feeling like both Chise and Elias both understand one another quite well, and more or less they are married, so to speak, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I think they ended the relationship in such a perfect way that leaves me feeling like, if you throw me an OVA, I'm gonna watch it, of course. If you throw me another season, I'll watch it, but I don't need anything else. I am so content and satisfied that they wrapped up everything, and I'm gonna say a very bold statement that someone is obviously gonna call me an idiot for having an opinion that doesn't align with theirs, but I think the relationship and development that Chise and Elias underwent is my single favorite relationship in all of anime. And if you followed my channel long enough, you know Toradora is my favorite anime of all time, and that still is my favorite anime of all time. But just what the Ancient Magus' Bride did was phenomenal with this relationship. The suicidal girl who wanted to end her life and she sold herself like a worthless object, the monster who didn't understand humans, where they ended up in these 24 episodes is completely romantic. It had so many ups and downs like an actual relationship would, and you come out feeling like this is the perfect couple at the end of the day, and absolutely loved it. I think this episode did everything it needed to. I was actually a little worried because it did have a lot to do with only 20 minutes, give or take, but they nailed it. They finished off basically the big bad villain of the series, gave him a satisfying conclusion, they wrapped up all the characters' points, everything just feels nicely wrapped up, and hell, they even gave us a new opening. They still used the same song, but they actually animated new visuals for the opening for this wonderful, wonderful final episode, and I definitely think it's going to please those people who are upset by the visuals in the second opening, because it was reused footage. But seriously, Ancient Magus' Bride, one of my favorite anime of all time, my favorite couple in anime, period. Overall, I had a blast talking about this series. I'm sure down the line I'll make another video on this series at some point in time. Definitely going to be binging this in the near future as well, but let me know your thoughts. What did you think of the final episode, the conclusion? What was your favorite moment? I think my favorite moment has to be that whole wedding veil and the exchanging of rings. Just brought a smile to my face. I'm so happy it ended the way it did, and that little moment after the credits there was cute as well. Let me know your thoughts, and before you leave, smack that like button, share your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.